Welcome to pattern making class. I'm Annette Julie, and today we are working on making a Mandarin collar. It would be great if you had either a basic bodice set, front and back, or a torso block set, front and back, jacket block set, front and back. We just need those necklines. You can also do personal measurements. Or if you're working on an existing design right now, that would work as well. So let's go ahead and capture our front and back neckline. I'm going to draw a grain line on my pattern paper. You can use any kind of paper. Xerox paper, tracing paper, anything that's going to work. Can move this up a little bit more. Putting the center front with the grain line, let's go ahead and trace off our front neckline and shoulder. Center front. This is the front. There's the shoulder. You always want to open up your neckline because the block that you're starting with is too tight. Let's draw another grain line. Let's get that back on there. Looks like I can raise that up a little bit. Gonna weight that down. Tracing off a little bit of the shoulder and that neckline. So we at least want to open this up 1/4 of an inch all the way around to give it some ease. That's the back. Let's do the front. Short little lines. Now take your curve ruler . Let's go ahead and blend those lines with that curve ruler. And there at the center front, it should be straight at least 1/4 of an inch. And then blend in. I prefer almost a half sometimes. That looks good. Now let's blend the back. And then we're going to take our new neckline measurements. This should be straight for about 1/2. Let's take those new neckline measurements. Here it is for the back. That's about 3 3/4. And for the front, I'm walking the ruler right along that edge, but not causing too much tension to snap it. And we're at 4 3/4. And our old front neckline measurement off the block was 4 1/2. So we plussed 1/4. And in the back here, the old neckline measurement was 3 3/8. So we plussed 3/8. So we opened that up. Now we can use these measurements to make our Mandarin draft. So grab another piece of paper. And we're going to use those new opened up measurements to apply it to our collar. So we're first going to start here where this is going to be center back. And that would coordinate with the center back of your block, or the center back of that draft I'm just showing you. Here's your block. Here's the center back. Here, this is the center back of our neckline to draft our collar. Now we're going to draft some of the neckline going out. We're going to draw a line perpendicular to our center back. If you have an L square at home, go ahead and use that. We've just created a right angle and brought that line out. I don't know exactly how much so far. I just did about 10 inches because our back neckline measurement will now be applied. Our new neckline back measurement is 3 3/4. So you can, from the center back along the new line that you drew that's perpendicular, measure out 3 3/4 and mark it, and that's for the neckline. For the back neckline, this is half measurements. Now we're going to do the front neckline, that's 4 3/4. So from this notch, this is center back, we just went to the shoulder. Go ahead and mark that as the shoulder, SH. Now we're going to go from shoulder to center front. That measurement is 4 3/4. Now this is going to make a collar that meets right at center front. It doesn't have an overlap at this point. So here's our center front. Now I can go ahead and trim my paper a little bit. And this is looking pretty good so far. So now we get to decide how high up do we want the Mandarin collar to go. A standard measurement would be 1 inch at the center back. Or maybe you want something a little bit more dramatic, a little bit higher up. It could be 1 1/4. 1 1/2, 2 inches, and so on and so forth. Okay, so pick how high is your collar stand or Mandarin collar going to be. Because this is a Mandarin collar, but guess what? A collar stand for a shirt collar is the same thing. So you could go look in your closet and see what that looks like. A collar, shirt collar with a actual collar in there. That's that Mandarin collar. Go take a look. Okay, pick how high you want that to go up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to draw a parallel line to the shoulder. I'm going to go for 1 1/4. Drawing a parallel line to where the shoulder comes. And you can go ahead and bring that line up to the shoulder too so you can see it. There you go. Now we've got to bring lines to the center front. But before we do that, we need to go ahead and raise that center front by 1/2 inch. So I'm marking up 1/2 inch. And this is because we're going to create a little curve with this collar. First, we're going to go from the shoulder up to the up 1/2 inch line with a straight line. Now we're going to come back with a curve, and we're going to blend. We're going to go down about 1/8 inch right here and make a nice curve. So connect a curved line. And mess with my ruler for a second here, see where I like it. Well, that looks pretty good. Do this in pencil so you can see the difference. Oh yeah, there you go. We've curved down. Nice curve there. And now we're going to go ahead and from that curve line, we're going to measure up our 1 1/4 inches. Making a couple of short lines there. And then I can blend the top curve. So I went down for a little curve from that straight line, and then from that curved line I'm going up 1.25 inches. Also from that curved line I'm going to square this. Now we'll take the curve ruler and we're going to blend. And then you can also darken in that lower line. Here we go. That is what we're going for. Okay, now we need a little curve right here on the front. Right there. Okay, but at the same time, that curve down could turn into something opposite, like a curve up with a point for a man's wingtip for a tuxedo shirt. So, but we'll have to put that in another demo. That's a real cute design. So here, the Mandarin collar is curving down. I like to freehand stuff. Then we'll go ahead and get that ruler in there and we'll true it and use the opposite end for a nice tight little curve. Here would be our grain. And this is very much looking like a Mandarin collar at this point. So this is your draft. We would also have a grain line here too. It's the same, grains all the way along. Let's go ahead and label this. So this is our Mandarin collar. This is our draft. You would put the date and your name because you're the pattern maker. Then this draft gets put on the fold. It puts as 1/4 inch seam allowance around. We do notches. We would have a notch here at the shoulder. We would also have a notch here at the center back. And we would have additional notches for seam allowance. This is the end of part 1 for your Mandarin collar draft. Stay tuned for part 2 where we put on seam allowance. This is Annette Jouy. Thanks so much. Au revoir.